On debut. It is the Dutch Grand Prix here at Zandvoort. The man with the green flag is satisfied that everyone is in place, and after the biggest, noisiest build-up, it's lights out and away we go. Verstappen and Norris get away equally well. George Russell ahead of Alex Albon, and Max Verstappen will lead into turn one from Norris. Lock up there from George Russell. Alex Albon on the inside might fancy his chances. Carlos Sainz trying to get past Fernando Alonso, but it's Verstappen then who leads him towards turn two, who's got a great getaway and already has a clear advantage. Behind him, diving down the inside, there goes Fernando Alonso. George Russell getting a little bit out of shape. Alonso makes up a place as they go through turn three.
Yeah, as I was saying, huge opportunism there at turn three from Fernando Alonso. Look at the raindrops on the camera lens. George Russell has got past Albon. Carlos Sainz as well, scrambling to get around the outside of turn seven. Is he going to make it?
Alex Albon's had a horrible start here because Carlos Sainz has passed him. George Russell is ahead of him. Fernando Alonso has passed him too, but now Albon gets back ahead of Carlos Sainz, and there's Sergio Perez waiting just behind him. Perez now has the inside line on the next corner. He fancies his chances at getting back at Carlos Sainz.
George Russell weaving there, trying to get some temperature in the tyres. Is Perez going to have a go as they get down? There's rain falling, Crofty. Look at heavy scrambling for grip through the stadium section. Everyone's staying on track, though, which is good to see. Charles Leclerc alongside Oscar Piastri. Look at this. Are they going to pit?
As they get to the final corner, what was dry 2.5 miles ago is now heavy, heavy rain and a very wet track.
And this is the smallest pit lane we've got, apart from Monte Carlo. They cannot fit 20 cars in at the same time. Let's see, is anyone boxing?
Nobody's boxing from the top 10, that is for sure. Verstappen leads this race because, look, it's drier here on the track. From Norris, coming into the pits, Sergio Perez. They've decided to take the gamble and fit a set of intermediate tyres. And there's also the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc and the Alpine of Pierre Gasly coming in. Zhou Guanyu, Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson and Kevin Magnussen also making their way in. And look at Ferrari. Were they ready for the car to come in? It's chaos in that Ferrari pit box.
No tyres. Again, how many times have we seen that with Ferrari? They've called the car in and no tyres in the pit box.
Fernando Alonso is up into second place. He's got past Lando Norris. These are treacherous conditions here by the shores of the North Sea, and it seems like we've got enough water on the track to make it into a swimming pool in places. Verstappen leads from Alonso, then Norris, then Russell, then Albon, Sainz, Piastri, Stroll up to 8th, Bottas
you can live
up
with
to
it
9th. He started 18th.
Yeah, Mr. Max just, I think we'll be in this lap.
The rain comes.
Zhou Guanyu has to look in his mirrors now because Pierre Gasly in the blue and pink of the Alpine is right behind him. A lot of speculation about Zhou Guanyu's future at the moment, but he's doing himself no harm for a seat for next year with the way that he's driving as Magnussen comes into the pits for what is a second time in this race. Oscar Piastri, meanwhile, is on the dry tyre, on the soft compound tyre. He's just set 2 purple sectors on his latest lap and has now hit the fastest lap, as you can see, as into the pits comes Lewis Hamilton for dry tyres. So whilst they were slower than others to get the intermediates on, they're faster than others to get the dry tyres on. They think if the rain is coming, it's going to be light enough so that you can run on the soft compound. Front wing change for Charles Leclerc. We heard he had damage. This is going to further hamper his progress. And whilst we look at that, I can tell you Oscar Piastri is still absolutely flying here as he bids to make up a lot of the seconds he's lost in the early part of this race. And this is how Charles Leclerc got damage to his front wing. Going into turn 11, tangle with the McLaren.
There. Right, so he got a bit of a... This is when the rain was falling down on the opening lap and just got a bit of a wiggle on at the apex of turn 12. And that sent him into Piastri's car. You could see the front wing end plate there, just in front of that tyre, has gone missing. And that is just adding insult to injury, isn't it? This has been a terrible weekend for Ferrari.
Lance Stroll is down to 19th.
How do we mess it up?
George Russell getting that question in first before I asked you, Karun Chandok. How did Mercedes get this so wrong?
Well, they just left George out for too long, didn't they? And then, you know, same with Lewis, the rain has started following. I can look out of the window. It's still quite light. I think they would stay on the slicks here as we see Carlos Sainz going past Pierre Gasly. Gasly defends.
Oh, trying to go past Pierre Gasly, and he left it very late, didn't he, to pull out from behind the rear wing of the Alpine, and somehow Pierre Gasly is still managing to stay in front of Carlos Sainz here. This is a terrific scrap.
You know
who else has had a bad race so far? Alex Albon has went from 4th down to 10th, and we can now see shaving of the concrete wall for Esteban Ocon in his battle. So, penalty soon follows. We're back on board then with Carlos Sainz, and we're back around turn 3. Sainz is trying his hardest to get past that Alpine. It's just not quite happening. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and it's Logan Sargent who stopped in just out of turn 8. Into the pits comes Oscar Piastri for another pit stop. That's why Logan Sargent stopped. That is going to be a safety car. He's gone into the barriers. Second time this weekend that Logan Sargent has gone into the barriers. And the second time this weekend, I say thankfully, he is okay, and telling the team he's okay. But that is a very fast part of the track. Turn 7, you take it 152 miles an hour. You're about 135 miles an hour when you get down to turn 8. And we've just got we have got a
Ferrari have got on that car that we haven't heard about, but I mean, it's extraordinary, isn't it? The lack of pace. When Lewis got past, lost it going for the inside down into the left-hander.
I tell you what, he's still going to try and make this move stick as well. Leclerc drifts out to the wide right-hand side. Lawson slots right back in behind him. He's got DRS. He's going down the inside. Liam Lawson in his F1 debut for AlphaTauri gets past Charles Leclerc, and he is up into 15th place. But this boy has got an awful lot of potential, and some would say has been a bit unlucky. He's not featured in Formula 1 in a race before now. But even with Charles Leclerc's struggles, that is a fantastic move from Lawson. But he's got to defend now because Leclerc's got DRS, and he's coming right back at him to say, right, you've still got a couple of things to learn here, and I'll take that 15th place back from you. I bet his move up a little bit too, and Charles Leclerc has come into the pit.
So the situation is getting worse, so we retire the car. We retire.
Just as I'd actually sent a message to the Ferrari press officer to say, is there any damage on Charles Leclerc's car? And to which she replied, yes, they pit Charles Leclerc out of this race. And it was becoming apparent that something was severe. Any time of the year. Fernando Alonso now right behind Carlos Sainz, and he's got DRS. And here come the two Spaniards then down the main straight. He's going to have to go down the inside, Fernando Alonso. Sainz did move over, but then left him enough room, and the Aston Martin is back up into the podium places. And after that slow pit stop where the front left tyre got a little bit stuck before they could remove it, Fernando Alonso has now climbed back up into thirds. The question now is, can he chase up George Russell and Alex Albon? Wheel to wheel down the main straight. Alex Albon has moved himself ahead into 6th place of George Russell. While that's happened, the other Mercedes has made up a place. Lewis Hamilton has gone past Lando Norris and up into 9th. It's all swapping around here. Fernando Alonso is the fastest man on the track, and Max Verstappen is leading by just over 9 seconds after becoming the 9th driver in Formula 1 history to lead over 600 laps during the course of a Formula 1 season. This is how Lewis Hamilton got past Lando Norris.
Yep, Lando very fair with him there, gave him space, and Lewis finding grip around that outside line to get past. It feels like a race-long battle, hasn't it? Lewis been stuck behind Lando. They've been coming through the pack together, but eventually now Lewis has managed to get it. But look at this, Sainz having to defend aggressively here. The Alpine has got good straight line speed. Gasly not quite close enough on this occasion, but he goes for the outside line and he gets squeezed out, so it doesn't make it work.
Pierre Gasly has given us some brilliant entertainment today, either defending or attacking, and most of the battles have been with Carlos Sainz, to be honest. For much of the race, Sainz was behind Gasly. Now, for the time being, he's keeping ahead of the pace at the moment. I said they were going to be close together. There's only about 4 tenths and, well, a few metres we can see on board with Lewis Hamilton currently.
Yeah, they need to make the phone call, don't they? They need to get Russell out of the way. Hamilton's got...
George Russell touched the grass and almost lost it. That was heart-in-the-mouth stuff there for George Russell in his Mercedes, but somehow he managed to produce a save worthy of a World Cup penalty shoot.
How did he catch that? That was unbelievable. But yeah, he does need to get out of the way here because Hamilton's very fast and has got much fresher tyres, so he does get out of the way. Okay, good.
Much heavier than what we had at the start of the race from what I can see, and it's already starting to hit turn 1, so it's going to be turn 1 wet first, and it's going to be wet to the end of the race.
And it's turn one where Pierre Gasly has got Carlos Sainz, and he's up into fourth. He finished fourth here a couple of years ago. He's up into fourth now. Super move for Pierre Gasly.
Position for 7th place.
Oh, Norris, Albon, Russell 7th, 8th and 9th. Piastri on 10th. Ocon's gone on to the wet weather tyres as there George Russell ahead of Alex Albon, 8th place. Everyone is on intermediates apart from Esteban Ocon on the wet weather tyres. Could that be the gamble by the Alpine team that helps Esteban Ocon here? Because this rain is getting...
Oh, he got a yellow.
And Sergio Perez has gone straight on at turn one. There goes Fernando Alonso up into 2nd place. Perez, in the heavy rain down at turn one, has lost that 2nd place, but rejoins the track still in the podium. Is on the extreme wet weather tyres, and those on the intermediates might have to be tiptoeing a little bit more than Esteban Ocon thinks. This is what happened to Perez, just could not stop.
I wonder whether we're going to head towards a safety car here, and that... Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's so wet. Just locked up both front tyres and went straight down.
As Zhou Guan Yu got a problem down at turn one, Perez hit the barrier, as we can see there. Zhou Guan Yu seems to have come to a stop. There's a double yellow flag being waved, and that's the reason why Zhou Guan Yu has gone on in.